Should I go up here? I feel like this is cool. Yeah, I like this.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming, guys. And I know there's so many ways you can spend your time, especially during the Sundance Film Festival, so I don't take it for granted that you would choose to spend your time with this film, and I hope you liked it. So I'm really looking forward to your questions. I like to just sort of get things started so you can kind of warm up and think about what you want to ask me. I'll answer the first question people usually ask. Where did this film come from? I didn't have any special privileged relationship to the Satanic Temple. I sort of heard about them through the same news headlines as a lot of the people in the film. I kept kind of hearing about these sort of smart, kind of pranking trolls that were out there kind of challenging these so-called religious freedom laws. And I thought they were clever and smart, and I also believed that they were in fact a satire group, and that that was kind of all there was to it. It wasn't until I actually had a chance encounter with Lucien Greaves in Boston that I was like, oh, he's not kidding. And I didn't understand. There was so much to not understand. I went to their website and I see these 7 tenets, and I'm just like, I am so confused. And I love that. And what I want from art is I want to be knocked off kilter, I want to be confused, I want to be kind of devastated by realizing how little I understood about something I thought I knew. So this to me felt like a kind of onion worth unpeeling for other people, because it had been so fascinating for me to learn about them, and that was kind of where it began. But I'm happy to take any questions you might have. Yeah, right in the middle here.
Yeah, that's me. Here. Oh, thanks. So first I want to say thanks as a member of TST.
Oh, cool.
But also,
There's probably a lot of Satanists here. I don't mean to alarm anybody.
so I was just wondering what you expect the kind of cultural impact and legacy of it to be like other great films in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I think about this film in relationship to the Satanic Temple, I fully expect that this will become a sort of canonical text that people will look back on in the future and say, sort of, where did this religious identity come from? What is the roots of this religious movement? And really that was my only goal, was to kind of create what I thought was an accurate and interesting portrait of how a religion might begin. And so really it's about sort of showing those first 6 years and trying to kind of give that to the future. I fully expect Satanism to continue to grow. I don't think Satanism is about to become mainstream. I don't think Satanism wants to become mainstream. But I do think that it's sort of easy to look at a brand new religion, or a newish religion, talking about 50 years old if we go back to LaVey, and say oh, it's so weird and dumb and it's crazy, and look at this silly Rick Scott prank, how could this become real, But without sort of offending anybody, I think if you look at the roots of any religion, any religious movement, you might find some wacky stuff that, but later might look a little weird. So to me, the fact that they do that sort of silly rally at the beginning doesn't discount the sincerity with which you all do your work. And thank you for your work.
This from QAnon, which is related to the Donald Trump phenomenon, that they are literally Satanists and that they literally drink baby blood, and that they're in a fight with them. And I was just wondering if you could comment on that.
Yeah, I love that question. I'm not sure I have anything brilliant to add to what you're saying, other than, it is certainly one of the many goals of the Satanic Temple and of the Satanists that I know personally, to sort of instantly put kind of a little red flag next to these types of claims. One of the reasons I was motivated to make this film is that, I'm about 40 years old. I grew up during the Satanic Panic. I can't effing believe that happened, and I can't believe no one talks about it, and it just sort of disappeared down the memory hole. And when I ask people, what do you know about Satanists or Satanism, they are certain they have the answer, and they are completely wrong. And that kind of thing, to me, is always really disturbing. These kind of bad, not true beliefs can get really deep into our psyches and cause serious harm to people. So it's easy to laugh at it, you know, it is sometimes funny, but it's also like really worth taking seriously because it doesn't matter how absurd an idea is, like it can really take hold in culture. So thank you for saying that, and also I wanted to say about your first comment about it feeling important to you, I couldn't agree more. And you know, I think before I started this project, I took it completely for granted that, you know, if you live in a secular democracy with pluralist values at its core, that's a stable entity. And, you know, why would you ever worry about that going away? And then I sort of got educated, and it's like, you know, just because we have that now doesn't mean we have that forever. And these are values, if you care about these values, like, you have to fight for them. You know, you don't have to join the Satanic Temple, but you sort of have to fight for those values because, you know, if you're really curious, like look at the case of Iran in the 1970s, like that was a secular democracy, and it fell or was risen up, I guess, depending on your point of view, to being a straight theocracy. So it can happen. I'm not saying it's gonna happen tomorrow, but it's something to really pay attention to. Thank you for your question. Yeah, right in front of you, yeah.
So, when I first started looking at the films in this festival, I just wanna say, this one immediately caught my eye because
it has an eye-catching
yeah.
thing.
And so my immediate intrigue was kind of like yours. Like I had heard a little bit, and I was always just kind of taking it just with a grain of salt because I had no idea.
Right.
So this film immediately caught my eye, and I was really impressed at how quickly this all started to make sense. Mm-hmm. And so my question, I guess, is what was the process of the narrative? Like once you met Lucien, how quickly did that narrative come together, and what was the process of that?
So yeah, the narrative, again, like really was about like sort of showing, the thematic kind of thread really was sort of watching as an idea becomes reality. And you could say it differently, you could say as a joke becomes serious, or you know, any number of different ways you could go. And that's very interesting to me. Like, you know, Senator Jason Raper in this film says the words, "We are what we believe." I mean, I think he's completely right. You know, and if you look at any activist movement, getting outside their own religious belief, it's the same process. You know, you kind of imagine a better world and then you will it into being. So to me, like showing the genesis of this sort of, you know, bookended by these two rallies, the one in Arkansas at the end and the one in Tallahassee at the beginning. I mean, that's just an interesting thing to study, regardless of all the other interesting things inside of that, you know, having to do with politics and religion and everything else. So I always knew that was the kind of big picture, structural idea. And then, you know, I came along about 3 years into this 6-year story. So the first act was already written, I would say. And then it was really a matter of like choosing various campaigns, many of which didn't make it into the film. Like we filmed lots of amazing stuff around After School Satan and other campaigns that aren't even mentioned. And then really realizing the Baphomet campaign could do a lot of work for us to stand, because it was so clear, it was so visually interesting, and it was ongoing. So we ended up really focusing a lot on the Baphomet campaign and on the character of Jex Blackmore, because I felt that those two things kind of like were the most important. You know, not that there was a million other things going on, but those two things kind of stood in for almost everything else, if that makes sense. Yeah. Right here.
Are you a Satanist now as a result of this film, or have you contemplated becoming one?
Yeah, the question is, am I a Satanist? You know, I was saying this yesterday, like I never thought I would be at a point in my life where I had to explain so often why I'm not a Satanist. It's like not a question one prepares for throughout their lives. I'll put it this way, I don't think of myself as a Satanist. I think of myself as sort of wholeheartedly an ally. But when it really comes down to it, like I do think of this as a religious identity, and that does come from somewhere within, and it doesn't resonate for me in that place. So I would say I'm a supporter, an ally, I feel satanically aligned, and I want them to keep doing their work, but I don't think of myself as a Satanist. I love the question. I mean, it's very funny. When the 7 tenets are wonderful, but she was disappointed in the conformity of the look of the Satanists, and she feels they would be doing better if they looked more like everyone else. All I can say is they dress how they want to dress. I mean, I think that, you know, we should judge people based on what they do and not what they look like. So yeah, it's not my style either, but that's cool. Like, I mean, and there are people in the Satanic Temple who don't sort of all dress the same. Like, I gave Mason Hargett a lot of screen time. He's got that cute bow tie. He doesn't look anything like Satanist we think of, you know. But again, it's a cultural identity. It's not surprising that they would have kind of a bit of a uniform maybe to it. The question is basically like, has there been good old-fashioned, in his words, moral panic since the Satanic Panic? Oh boy, probably. I don't know. I'm like not sure. I have to think. It's a really good question, and let's keep thinking about it together. You know, it'd be interesting to sort of look back at the Satanic Panic and make sort of a list of the qualities we see there, and like sort of almost make a checklist. Like, how would you know if you're living through a moral panic? I'm gonna leave that up to you. I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. I sort of have my own, but I'd be interested to see. And I don't think we're any smarter than them, so. Probably, and we're not any safer.
Project is going to be?
Great question. Well, I just want to say, first of all, I have no problem with tackling something controversial. Like, part of what I wanted to do, part of the reason I was so attracted to these people and to this story was that although I'm not a Satanist, like, I have always felt very much like I inhabit that kind of skeptical, outsider, blaspheming, sort of heretic role. Like in any circle that I find myself in, it's like if it's any group I find myself a part of, as soon as a consensus starts to form, I'm like, what about this? You know, so I've always felt very like keenly what it means to feel driven to and called to that role. Like I really don't think of it as a choice. Like just like Stu says at the end of the film, like I don't think I have a choice. It feels to me like someone's got to say something, and no one ever fucking does. And so it's, you know, it kind of so I'm fine. I'm fine with all that. Like, you know, I hope that in my career, like I tip sacred cows with every project. So that doesn't send me, you know, back to my house in like, you know, in shame or fear. I don't know what I'm doing next. That was your actual question. This week I'm celebrating, so ask me next week.
This is the last question.
Okay, great. Last question.
Where is this film going after this so that we can direct and have where to watch?
Great last question. Where is this film going after this? The film will be released nationwide in theaters starting Easter weekend. So. Us on Hail Satan Film on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Thank you so much for coming. And
Don't forget to vote.